Welcome back to Sports Class with Dr. K. It's late November, and that can mean only one thing. The Buffalo Bills are on their way to a late season collapse. All right, no offense to the Bills. I don't know if they're going to collapse. But more than likely, one of the teams currently in position to make the playoffs is going to fade down the stretch while someone else rises up to take their spot. It happens every year. In an earlier lesson, we talked about some of the biggest in-season turnarounds in NFL history. Teams that started slow but surged to make the playoffs. Today we're going to look at the opposite of that. Teams that got off to fast starts and then faded down the stretch. We're going to look at some of the biggest in-season collapses in NFL history. Number 5, the 1987 San Diego Chargers. For a while there, it felt like the Chargers endured a late season swoon every year, but the 1987 version stands out. In what turned out to be the final season in the Hall of Fame careers of quarterback Dan Fouts and tight end Kellen Winslow, the Chargers got off to an 8-1 start. Then the wheels came off. Fouts and Winslow started to show their age, and the Chargers didn't win another game. In this season, that was shortened by the strike by one game, they finished at 8-7 and out of the playoffs. Number 4, it's the Chargers again, this time the 2001 version. The 2001 Chargers roster included some all-time great players, like quarterback Doug Flutie, running back LaDainian Tomlinson, and linebacker Junior Seau. Bouncing back from a terrible 1-15 season in 2000, the Chargers got off to a great start at 5-2 and looking primed for a playoff run. Instead, the Chargers didn't win another game, losing 9 straight to finish at 5-11. They lost a slew of close games and actually outscored their opponents during that season, but this ended up as yet another late season swoon for the San Diego Chargers. Number 3, the Washington Redskins in 1978. It's hard to imagine a team starting out at 6-0 or better and then failing to make the playoffs. But it's happened several times, and that's exactly what happened to this rendition of the Washington Redskins. Having added a new young head coach, Jack Pardee, the Redskins seemed rejuvenated after missing the playoffs in 1977. Led by their outstanding quarterback, Joe Theismann, and future Hall of Fame running back, John Riggins, they started 1978 at 6-0 and still looked strong at 8-3 after beating the New York Giants in overtime in late November. But that was their last win of the season. It all fell apart. The Redskins lost their last 5 games, finished the season at 8-8, and missed the playoffs. What else happened in 1978, you wonder? The movie Saturday Night Fever catapulted John Travolta to superstar status and the Bee Gees to the top of the charts. Number 2, the 1993 Miami Dolphins. Led by Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino and Hall of Fame coach Don Shula, the Dolphins got off to a typically hot start in 1993. However, Marino suffered a ruptured Achilles heel in Week 5. Backup quarterback Scott Mitchell played well for a while, and the team worked its way to a 9-2 record by Thanksgiving. But the Dolphins cooled off with the weather in late fall and lost their last 5 games to miss the playoffs. Their fate was still uncertain in the final game of the season against the New England Patriots, but their offseason started early when New England Patriots quarterback Drew Bledsoe threw an unlikely 36-yard touchdown pass in overtime, ending the game and ending the Dolphins' season. Number 1, the 2003 Minnesota Vikings. It's hard to imagine a worse fate at the end of the season than what befell the 2003 Minnesota Vikings. Led by quarterback Dante Culpepper and all-time great wide receiver Randy Moss, this team had one of the best offenses in the league, in fact one of the best ever, piling up more than 6,000 yards of total offense, by far the best in the league. They also started out the season 6-0 and looked like world beaters, but instead they faltered down the stretch, losing their next 4 games. They recovered a little bit, going 3-2 before the last couple of games, and still looked in good shape for a playoff spot. All they needed to do was win their final game against the 3-12 hapless Arizona Cardinals. In fact, they led late in that game 17-6. But then the Cardinals scored a touchdown late and recovered the onside kick. On the final drive, the Minnesota Vikings sacked Arizona quarterback Josh McCown twice, leading to a 4th and 25 on the final play of the game. Josh McCown, though, threw an unlikely 28-yard touchdown pass on that play to receiver Nate Poole, winning the game 18-17 and sending the Vikings home, missing the playoffs. This has to be one of the most heartbreaking plays in NFL history. And maybe we'll do another episode about plays like that. But for now, these are 5 of the biggest in-season collapses in NFL history. There are plenty more examples. Let me know if you've got a better one. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.